Hey, my name is Adrian. Right now I'm in the middle of climbing the 7 summits. I used to teach skiing many years. For about 16 years I'll teach skiing. And then now I'm based in the UK, I climb mountains while I don't ski. So that's what I do. There's 7 continents in this world, and it's all about trying to stand on top of the highest mountain in each of the 7 continents. So if you go to Tanzania in Africa, you've got to stand on Kilimanjaro. If you go to Asia, Mount Everest in Asia. So it's all about trying to stand on top of the highest mountain in each of the 7 continents. So that's what the 7 Summit Challenge is. But yeah, so it's really fun. Very tough. So I've done a few of them so far, and we'll see if I can do them all. I was living in Utah for about 6 or 7 years, well, for more actually, but I spent 6 or 7 years in one particular ski resort. And this ski resort was owned by a gentleman called Dick Bass. And Dick Bass was the first person to do all 7 summits. So in '85 he completed the 7 summits, and in this particular ski resort, his face is everywhere. There's all these sort of things, not in your face, but there's always reminders, hey, you know, I've climbed Everest. And it's just one thing, like, after working in that ski resort, I came back to the UK, and I was like, wow, you know, it would be cool to stand on top of the world, wouldn't it? And then I started to do all these other mountains, Argentina, Denali, Kilimanjaro, you know, all these mountains, and it was just absolutely loved it. So I love just standing on top of a mountain, and ultimately, I think for me, the pinnacle would be to stand on top of Everest for sure one day. I've known three people to stand on top of Everest, and they're quite humble about it. When they talk about their stories, they're like, yeah, you know, I summited Mountain in Nepal. They don't sort of rub it in like, hey, I did Everest, and it's really quite cool. So one day I hope to stand on, yeah, I hope to be on the top of it as well. I've managed to achieve 4 of them. Believe it or not, there's 9 7 summits. Borders change. So the highest mountain in Europe used to be Mont Blanc in France, and then Russia became part of Europe. So now, technically, the highest mountain in Europe is in Russia. However, some people still think it's Mont Blanc in France. So there's 9 7 summits. I've achieved 4 of them so far. So I've achieved Kilimanjaro in Tanzania, Africa. I've done Aconcagua in Argentina, South America. I've managed to achieve Denali in Alaska, North America, and Mount Elbrus in Russia, Europe. So I've managed to achieve 4 of them so far. Hopefully, I've got 1 more booked next summer, and then we'll see what happens next time around. But yeah, so I think that's it. Part of my training, I do lots of cycling, I do lots of run up and down stairs with heavy backpacks. So I came back from the States, and so I went on a training ride where I went in Richmond Park, just outside of London, and I was cycling around the roundabouts and put my brakes on, and I decided to fall over and break my collarbone. And this was 3 weeks before I was heading out to Alaska, so I had to cancel the trip, and I was really bummed out. So I haven't really touched a bicycle since, actually. But yeah, it wasn't the smartest move, but I was really good. I was sort of pedaling really hard, and I don't know, I was ready for the mountain. But as soon as I came off the bike, I broke my collarbone, and it flipped out beautiful. And there's no way in heck I could have done it with a broken collarbone, because after falling off the bike, I was lying there going, how hard can it be? I'm going to sort of hike this mountain still, but not a chance. So a year later, I went to Alaska and climbed the mountain. So apart from the bicycle stupidity incident, the hardest thing was Alaska, just purely because you're out there for 3.5 weeks, you're on the mountain, it's self-sufficient, so you're taking your own equipment. So you're literally walking for 3.5 weeks with a backpack of 25 Ks, dragging a sledge of 40 Ks, while dealing with temperatures of minus 37, I think it went down to. So Alaska was without a shadow of a doubt the hardest, but the most rewarding for sure. But yeah, it was the hardest, definitely. Altitude-wise, it was tough. It was just over 6,000 meters, 6.1. So as far as the altitude, it was tough, but just physically and mentally, it was really, really tough. So yeah, without a shadow of a doubt, Alaska is hard for sure. Next up, it's the Big 40 next year for me. So I'm going to try and do Mont Blanc in France. I've got a friend that wants to sort of stand on top of Mont Blanc with me. So we both turn 40 next year. So next up is France, early July. I really would like to, after that, I would like to have a go at a mountain called Carsten's Pyramid, and that's based in Indonesia, near Indonesia. It's part of the Australasia continent. So that one, Carsten's Pyramid, would probably be the next of the 7 summits, even though Mont Blanc kind of is. So next up is Mont Blanc, and then Carsten's Pyramid. So after that, that will be sort of 5 of the 7 summits, leading up to, I think, Everest after that one. So we'll see, but we'll see, yeah, we'll see how it goes. I think for me, I want to do 5 of them first. I want to do the Indonesia one, so sort of 5 as such. And then after that, I would like to have a go at a mountain called Chongyu. That's in the Himalayas, and that's an 8,000 meter mountain. So Everest is 8.8, I believe. It's kind of recommended if you're going to have a go at trying to stand on top of the world, you should really have a go at an 8,000 meter mountain. There's 14 peaks that are 8,000 meters, and Chongyu is definitely one of them. So for me, after Carsten's Pyramid, I'd like to have a go at Chongyu, 8,200, and if my body allows me, if I manage to summit Chongyu, then I will have a try at Everest. But yeah, I want to do all of them for sure. I'm going to finish the plan in my mind, which always changes literally every week. I would like to finish with Antarctic. Just the industry I work in the travel industry, it's peak of the season in the winter times. So to try and ask the boss for some time off, I think I need to have all the other ones under my belt before I do that. But I'm going to do Everest second to last, then finish on Antarctic. That's the plan. Well, obviously summiting is amazing. You know, to summit a mountain was just unbelievable. Argentina is probably my most memorable mountain. I don't know. I remember in Argentina we're camping we spent a few nights. Argentina mountain was just 6,900 meters, so we spent a few nights camping at 6,000. And I remember it's sort of minus 30ish, and I'm inside my tent. It's 6:30 in the evening. The sun's going down, and my tent just turned this unbelievable orange. And I just had to run out and see the sunset. So I literally just put all my sort of clothes on. I'm wearing 7 or 8 layers on top. But I ran outside of my tent, but climbed outside my tent, and I saw the most amazing sunset. So it sounds cheesy, but I think the sunset on Argentina was, without a shadow of a doubt, unbelievable. There's a story I'm not sure if I'm allowed to tell you. It's a bathroom story. I don't know how bad things are. So Argentina, that was my first big mountain as such. It was a very big steep learning curve. We spent a few days, around about 4,000 meters, doing acclimatization hikes. We're drinking water from the rivers. In the mountain streams flowing from the glacier, apparently there's more sodium, so your body's not used to the ingredient of sodium. So there's not something in the river, but there's more ingredients in the river. So I'm just swigging it for a few days, drinking the river water, and apparently makes your stomach feel bad. So I think you know where this is going. So we did this beautiful acclimatization hike. You know, we hiked for 8-9 hours or whatever it was, maybe 7. Sat down, had this most beautiful, lunch, just in this most amazing, surreal setting. And anyway, so we started to sort of walk back down. It's only a 3 or 4 hour walk back down to the camp. But I had an instant, shall we say, and next thing I know, I literally was in the middle of nowhere, and I had to speak to our trip leader, our tour guide, and I was like, "Hey man, I've had an accident. And he's like, "Well, what do you want to do about it?" I was like, "Well, can I clean myself up?" So he's like, "Yeah, no worries. Give us 10 minutes, and there's a glacier lake." So I had to strip off, jump into a glacier lake, which was ridiculously freezing, and it was really surreal though, because when I got down to the bottom, I thought that everyone would be making fun of me. I was like, "Hey, you had an accident on the mountain," but everyone sort of bonded together. So it was a bit cheesy, but it happened to me. It could have happened to anybody in the group. but we had a sort of a moment where the groups sort of connected and bonded together. So yeah, that was not fun. Maybe we should have had those tablets where it cleans the water. But yeah, so my body just didn't handle it as well as everybody else, and it just was the most unpleasant experience I've ever had on a mountain. So yeah, so that's definitely one of my low points, should we say, for sure. Really important. There's sort of two aspects to it, I feel. In America, we had to take all of our human waste off the mountain, so you got that sort of respect, where you don't leave any trash or pollution or whatever behind. Anything that goes on the mountain comes off the mountain. I've been on mountains before and it's littered with just debris of people's camping equipment, human waste, and it's just not cool. This commercial climbing, I think it's cool, or whatever you want to call it, it's definitely become more popular. So I think that in generations' time or whatever, the mountains can be littered a lot more. So I think it's really important for us right now to tackle these mountains, but also to respect the mountains as far as taking things off the mountain, not destroying it, but also just respect the mountain and respect your body as well, just the hippie sort of things. Like, I remember in Argentina when I got back down to after the summit, and I was like, hey, we were so lucky, it was a bluebird day, it didn't snow, the winds were calm, we were so lucky, and the trip leader's like, man, you weren't lucky, the mountain wanted you to get to the top. So it's a little bit hippie-ish, but I respected, the mountain in that sort of sense, if that makes sense. The best thing is you've got to be honest. Slow. Everything has to be done slow. So anybody feels altitude sickness at any level, really. 2,000 meters upwards, I'd imagine. I'm not sure. I've really suffered altitude sickness in a couple of mountains, but you've just got to be honest with people around you. Like, hey, I'm feeling really headaches, nausea. I'm just going to chill out, eat, drink, and I'll be with you guys in a bit. And it's just, you've got to do everything slowly. I remember in one of the mountains, anytime we get to a camp, a lot of the team members would be running around, building, digging, making the tents, doing all the communal stuff, which I didn't do as much. I felt like a bit of a wimp because I didn't do as much, but I was looking after my body a little bit more, and I think the altitude sickness didn't kick in as much as it did with me to other people. So I think you've just got to do everything really slow. You've got to be honest with the people around you, like, hey, I'm going to go and sit down for 5 minutes. I'm not Skyping off. I'm just going to drink some water, just going to eat some food. I'm going to be with you in a bit. And you just got to be honest. But everything, it's really weird how just 1 minute you're just talking fine, and then the next minute you've got this biggest headache, your nausea, your nose is bleeding. So it can hit you at any time. But I guess just take your time, relax, do everything slow. That's my problem with my next mountain. I'm climbing Mont Blanc, and with one of my good friends, and I think that he's going to be rushing things. And I definitely do everything slowly when I'm on the mountain, so I can see he's going to be a bit annoyed with me, like, hey, come on, hurry up, go. But I'm going to be like, man, you've got to slow it down. So yeah, you just got to take your time. When I do these mountains, I try and look at the timetable, and I try and take the longest period of time to do a mountain. So in the Argentina one, it was 6,900 and something meters, 22,000 feet. So there was this company which did it in 23 days, or a company did it in 19 days. I decided to go for the 23 days, but I give myself longer sort of acclimatization time as such. So yeah, I suppose that helps. I think just the longer on the hill, the mountain, the better, the more acclimatized you are. Have the most amazing time. I don't know what advice will I give anybody? Just do everything slow, do your research on the mountain, question yourself why you want to climb this mountain. Everyone's like, I want to get a Facebook picture for Machu Picchu, but you've got to ask yourself why. Why do you want to go on this mountain? Is it to test your body? Is it to see this amazing sights? Is it to break the altitude level that you've been to? So I think you need to first of all question why you're doing it, not because you think the Instagram picture will look good, but so just have a think why you're going to do it, and then just take your time, do your research on the mountain, engage with the locals. When I did the Inca Trail, it was just a phenomenal experience how we just really engaged with some of the porters that were taking our bags, and we just sit down with them, have a beer at the end of the trip with them. So a mixture of engagement with the locals, and just enjoy it. Take as many pictures as you can. That's one thing I regret on Alaska. There were so many opportunities where I could have taken more pictures, but I was out of my comfort zone, so I didn't. And it just frustrates me. I've got some incredible pictures, but not as many as I want to. But I think, do your research, take your time when you're hiking, and just, eat and drink as much as you can. Water, you need to drink as much water as possible. And don't be shy about talking about issues with other people, like the bathroom story. Communication amongst the team is a key thing for sure. Adventure is all about, me personally, is all about pushing myself out of the comfort zone. I love the mountains, I love cycling, I love skiing, blah, blah, blah. I love all these crazy fun things to do, but for me, I like to push myself. I've got some friends that do ultra marathons, I've got some friends that do lots of heck of a long cycle rides. And for me, it's pushing yourself out of the comfort zone to see what you can do in other environments. So when I'm going on these mountains, I like to climb in a safe environment, obviously, but I like to climb as high as I can for as long as I can. And for me, that really is adventure for sure.